Hey guys, Timelapse Boy CC3 here, and today I'm back with another video. And today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make an extension cord out of some old broken lights. And the reason I'm doing this is because the Halloween season is coming up quite quickly, actually. So I just thought I would do this so you could have something to do if you have some broken lights. As you can see, for example, if a lot of bulbs look like this, yeah, you can't really see it, but there's a black beam around it. Those are the only type of bulbs you cannot fix with the Lightkeeper Pro. You may have saw my in my last week's video where I put together my room's Halloween decorations. You would have seen where I talked about Lightkeeper Pro, and that could normally fix these problems. But when every single bulb has a black beam, the strand's just done for. So if I plug these in right now, you'll see that that all of them do light up, you would think. So, these at the very top are lighting up, and then let's actually separate this. I'm going to bring those out to the side. So you see these being on right here, and then you have two burnt out ones, and you have more that are on. Now that is normal. If you keep going throughout the strand, you will find at one point, whoops, I shook my camera, another burnt out one there. But if I keep going on, you will find something that looks like this. You have 3 wires going in one side, 3 wires going in the other, and there's just 2 wires between. You see that here, there's actually 3 wires, if I can get them spread apart. And then in this, there's only 2. So that's because this is the very middle of the rung. This half is working right here, and then this half here is not working. So no more lights down here are dead. Well, I mean, no more lights down here are working, and every single light has this little black beam. So what can we do in this situation? Number 1, unplug the lights. Step number 1. Safety is number 1 when working with electricity. All you really need for this is a faulty pair of lights, some wire cutters, and electrical tape to tape up the finished product. Now, other ways to do this don't involve electrical tape, but I like it just to be on the safe side. So, let's clear this little table and go to the very first bulb. Here's the plug-in part, and then you have this little strand here. Now, this is the half that was working. If you look at the very first bulb, you will see, if I can get a good view on this, there is 3 wires going into it. Then the second bulb, there's only 2 wires. So what you need to do is follow the wire that's connected to the second bulb that connects to the first bulb. That made it sound confusing, but look, here's the very first bulb here, and then here's the second bulb. I follow this wire right here, and then when I follow it, it takes me over to this one, which is connected to the light. So what you want to do is spread that wire out from all the others. Take your wire cutters and just cut the wire. But before you do that, you want to make sure it is the correct wire, as I'm doing right now. It's connected to the light and the first light. If you cut the other 2 wires, your extension cord will not work. Obviously, you can just use it normally if you have a broken strand of lights. But the reason I like doing this is just simply because of the fact that it saves more voltage and electricity, and you still get a good extension cord out of it. So, if you just go up to the light, cut as close as possible, but just snip it off. The moment you do this, you better know that these lights will no longer work. But then after you do that, you should probably double check that you didn't cut the wrong wire. If you go to the light and the wire looks like this, you are good. Neither of these other wires should be cut. Then, once you go to the wire that you just cut, just start unraveling the lights from the cord. Cutting that wire freed up all of these lights. And then, you just pretty much want to do this until you get all the lights done. As you can see, the first light will have to stay there for the very end, but you just keep unraveling the lights I'll cut back to you when the next step, when I need to show you what the next step is to do. Did I forget to mention that this will be quite a timing process? It takes a while. I've been doing this for about 5 minutes, and this is all I've gotten so far. I mean, I've gotten quite a bit done, but still, this is all I've gotten so far. Do not just keep doing the whole strand until I tell you what your next instruction is, because there's a certain part that you do not want to mess up. So I would just recommend waiting until I'm done. Another thing you can do is, whenever your wire just gets too long and it's getting hard to like pull out from the other wires, you can just simply take it and cut it off from the existing light. Now you have one part of the lights separated, and then you have this. You don't have to do that. You can go through the whole strand without doing that if you want to, but that will just help you out if you really need to. Just like that will help you save a lot of time, because you have a lesser amount of lights to get through the wires and stuff. But my next update will probably be once I get to the middle of the strand where those 2 wires are that I pointed out before. This is what you do when you get to the middle. So you have your plug with no lights on the strand anymore. You will eventually come to this one spot. Here are your lights, and then they're connected to this one light bulb right here. So what it does is, this is another one of those 3 wire cables. You just want to cut the lights off from the very bottom. Only the light wire to separate your lights. And now you just have it where it's like this, nothing before. Do not cut any of the other 2 wires. That will stop the current from passing through. Then, come over to the second bulb. Don't do anything else with this first bulb. Come over to the second bulb. This is only the ones with the 3 wires. Do not do this with any other one. If you separate the wires, you will see that there is also 3 wires going into this bulb too. Do the same deal. Go to the bulb after that. Follow this wire over to the bulb, and then just cut that wire. So, by doing this, you are freeing up another spot where you can unravel the lights. And then just continue with unraveling the lights from the strand. Like I said, the quickest way to do this is to cut them off in little snips, like this. So I've unraveled it. I have this kind of short cord, but when I get to this point, I just take my wire cutters and just cut this off here. Now the lights are completely cut off. That's the quickest way. Otherwise, you have to deal with a ton of lights getting tangled up and stuff. But just keep unraveling it. And then at one point, you will come to the very, very end of the light strand. Now, this will differ, obviously, from brand to brand. But with most incandescent light strands, what you need to do when you come to the very end is the same you've been doing, especially with the first one. But I'll talk more about that when I actually get to the end. So, here's another part where I'm just going to cut the wires off. There's that. Do not cut the main 2 wires, though. Only the light wires. And then, let's go again. We're just going to keep unraveling, like I said, until you come to the very last bulb. You may have multiple of those in the middle, where there's 2 bulbs with 2 wires between. Just repeat the process until you're done. This is a relatively short strand that I'm working with right now. So that is why I only have one in the middle. But it will differ from type to type of lights. Like, if, say you have 70 to 200, for example, a 200 will obviously have tons of those little branches. Like, where the, like, little, like, how do I say this? They're branched off into different circuits. This only had 2 circuits, because there was only 1 2-wire in the middle. If there was 3 sets of that means there would be, like, well, multiply 6 circuits, stuff like that. So, it's pretty simple. So, I'm getting very close to the end, as you can see. So, once you get to the end, you will find 2, well, not 2 wires. You will find 3 wires again. I'm just cutting off the lights. And just keep unraveling until you get to the very end. I finally made it to the end. Here's a part with just the lights by themselves. And then you have this 3-wire socket again. Just again as before, cut off the lights as close to the base as possible. And then, now you should be left with something like this. I'm going to take off the whole strand and show you piece by piece. Let's start off with the plug. You have the part that plugs in. Then if you move on, you have one light bulb only. And then you move on again, just bare wires. And then if you keep moving, I just got this wire stuck in my chair. Sorry. But if you just keep moving on, when you get to the middle where you cut before, you have just 2 bulbs. And then just move on again. The reason you needed to save those bulbs was just because the current still needed to pass through. And then at the very end, you'll have just 1 bulb and then the plug in if you want to plug any other extension cords in. So at this point, could you be done? Yes, you could be done. But a part that I like to do is electrical tape every single cut I made, just to make it safer, in my opinion. Because I don't know if it's live or not still. I'm not going to be the one to test it. And I do not advise any of you guys watching this video to test it either. But go to the very first light bulb where your plug is. And you will see where you cut this wire right here. What you want to do is grab a piece of electrical tape. Just any electrical tape will work. You don't need that long of a piece. Just something that'll cover. Use your wire cutters to cut it off. And then go back to the first light. Separate the wire that's not connected from them. And then kind of isolate it in your hands like this. And then what you want to do is put the tape right on the very bottom where that wire was. And just tape it up. Simple, just like that. And there's that one. That one's safe. And then if we go to the middle of our strand, to this portion right here, let's go ahead and do the same thing with these. Oh, they just fell under my table. But get a piece of electrical tape, cut it off with your wire cutters, and then, if I can get these lights back up here, do it with the first one closest to the plug first. Isolate the 3rd wire and just put tape over it. It doesn't have to be perfect because nothing will probably happen if you don't have tape. But this is just a safety precaution I do on all of my extension cords. I use these extension cords in my yard, and they do get rained on, and nothing has ever happened to me. So I do not take responsibilities if you did something wrong when you made this. But that is what that should look like if you compare them side by side. Now do the same thing for the 2nd light bulb. Well, technically the 3rd light bulb, I guess. Get some more electrical tape. Just peel back some more. And then cut it with your wire cutters. Now, if you do not have wire strippers or cutters, scissors will work, but I do highly advise you use wire cutters if you have some. Separate the 3rd wire, remember. And then just tape the very base of it. Again, like you've been doing with the other light bulbs. And now you have those 2 done. And then if we move on to the very, very last bulb, which is right here, right next to the end, what you want to do is get your final piece of electrical tape, cut it, separate the 2 other wires, isolate it with your hands, and then just tape it up. if you don't have any of the supplies, like, you can do this with just a light strand. Like, even if it's not a broken light strand, I mean, I wouldn't recommend just purposely breaking a light strand just to make an extension cord. But research it. Research this topic. I'm not the only one who's done videos on this. Other people have too. But time to test out this extension cord. If I put the whole cord back up on the table. Sorry if the camera's moving. So, as you can see, all the lights are pretty much gone. And I'm going to plug this in right now. So, currently it's plugged in. And woohoo! No sparks are being seen right now. And that's always a good sign. And even though this bulb here... Okay, you can't really see it. Even though this bulb here was working before, as you can see, it is no longer working because we cut those wires. And since we put electrical tape on it, we are isolating the chance of us getting electrocuted by that cut off wire. So now, if I clear off this table, let's go ahead and get something that we can test to plug in to make sure our extension cord is working. So, for example, I have this very, very big light strand here. And I am just going to plug it in. If I just set this on the table, this is a light strand of 200 light bulbs. So there's an absolute ton. This thing has some mass. There's a wiring on here because there was a break in it. And I know this will short out after some point. And this is a very old light strand anyways, so I don't really even care. But if I connect these, you will see. Okay, now this is the only issue when doing this that this has. You see how this is a polarized plug. You have one bigger slot than the other. A lot of these only have two small slots. So I need to find a different light set to test. So I'll be right back when I go look for one. I'm back with a light strand that will actually work. Because this is the same exact light strand as that. And as a matter of fact, this is another one of my broken ones. So this light strand here is going to be turned into an extension cord as well. But if I plug it into this, there we go. And it's working. Well, the best it can be working. Because as you can see, if I go to this portion here, all broken again. So, if I unplug it from that, that's proof that this extension cord, this free extension cord thing works. You can just use an old light strand and make it into a free extension cord just by knowing some knowledge about electricity. And look, I'm touching this all over. I'm touching all the light bulbs. I'm not even scared about getting electrocuted because I won't. But you could. This is why you need to inspect your wires. If there's any slices in your wire, not your light bulb wire because that's out there, but your main wire, like this 2-wire cable, the hot and neutral coming in, do not use it, just throw it away. But if your cable looks generally good, it looks something like this, go right ahead. Because this is safe, it's waterproof because it's outdoor stuff meant to be outdoor. I highly recommend this. It'll save you a lot on your extension cords. You don't have to buy those big 14, 16 gauge extension cords anymore for outdoor displays. You can just use stuff like this, which is actually meant for lights and stuff. And even if you plug LEDs in, you can get a lot of LEDs out of this. And something that these always will have better than other extension cords are the fact that these have fuses. This will blow a fuse if it gets overloaded, which is really cool about these. So I'm going to unplug this now. And that is where this is going to get wrapped off. One last note though. If you have seen my Halloween video of where I turn my bed to a Halloween thing, you notice that you've probably seen one of these in that bin. I talked about making this extension cord, so I decided I should probably show you how to actually make one on the channel. So that is exactly what I did. And if you want to see what the lights look like right now, it's just a pile of lights I'm going to be throwing away. All cut off at different lengths and stuff. And one of them just fell. And then that's the lights down there that I'm going to be turning into an extension cord. So, if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. I have been Timelapse Boy 63. and peace out.